All right, baby. Leafs talk. JD Bunkis, Sam McKee. The streak is over, bud. It was fun while it lasted. 7 games, not bad.
Yeah, boy, it ended beautifully tonight. That was if you're gonna end one, that's the way you do it, bud. You end it. You end it in spectacular fashion. Boy, oh boy.
This was a poo-poo platter, and I went. This made me okay. This is just again personal Leaf fan experience. I really think that the streak matters. I'm not walking off that, right? Like I had Brian Boyle on my pod today.
Heard it. That's great.
Guys who are not like, that's an American who hates the Leafs, even though he played for Leafs. Even when he came to Leafs, he's like, yeah, my wife was pregnant. I didn't want to go. I love the Lightning.
Yeah, of course.
Even Leafs haters were like, hey, they did some really good things on that winning streak, and there's some reason to buy in. I'm not backing off any of it, but just sucks when they do that, right? You come home, and I'm sure a lot of people in the chat are going to be like, first game back home, blah, blah, blah. I thought that the first period actually wasn't too horrible, but some ugly, familiar, leafy things from this game. Where do you want to start?
Well, from a guy whose biggest takeaway from this game was it was the first game back from a Western road trip. Yeah. I don't know how we proceed here. Like I think that they did a lot of awful things, and a lot of it was brain dead, tired looking, like stuff they haven't been doing in the 7 games that they've won in a row. And it just, the attention to detail went right out the window. The turnovers were back. 6 lefties, half your guys playing totally handcuffed, defensive breakdowns everywhere. Tyler Bertuzzi now the only guy who can score for the Leafs. It was not pretty. So I don't know where you want to start, but it was just a bad one.
Well, so I think there's a couple things here. Going in the deadline, it doesn't matter. I don't care if it's Lyubushkin, I don't care Carrier, whatever. I really don't want Sean Walker. I don't see the fit to me, but whatever. They got to get a right-hand shot D. Somebody, they need another body in there who can slot in on the right side. Like it just, to me, that was one of the most obvious things again tonight is the butchery from the back end with guys playing their offhands. But the one, I will say this, you're right. I thought that they didn't look sharp. They didn't have any jump. They just looked lethargic. Like Vegas was beating them to pucks, beating them in short areas, looked like a team that had gotten embarrassed on their home ice and took advantage of a Toronto team that was sort of feeling themselves at the end of the trip. I am a little disappointed, I will say, that they didn't want to keep the streak rolling because it felt good. Like the momentum was nice. The one point of concern for me from this game that really bothers me about this team is just how they lose guys and they let dudes get behind the D so often. The second goal is just guys completely losing the Vegas goal. No, Barbashev is the first goal. The breakaway was the first
breakaway.
Goal.
Oh, it was the first one. Okay.
The first goal of the game was the breakaway. The second goal of the game is the tip, where it's just like, how does this look how this happens? It's just like, gonna go behind the net. Leafs get it. There's just a guy there, and they're like, do whatever you want. He's just standing there, wide open in front of the net. First goal, I still don't think we got good enough angles on. Like, did you see how Barbashev got so wide open other than just he was cherry picking?
Maybe he was cherry picking a bit. Maybe the guys were jamming in front of the net. Looked like they were locked in here. If we have it on, I think this is it here. See, they're just locked in, and he's just gone. He just cheated.
I can tell you right now that watching that clip more closely, Morgan Riley's puck watching.
Yeah, well, he did a lot of that tonight. He had a front row view for a lot of them. I think he was -4. So
yeah, that one though is just, you can't let him just get behind you like that. Watching the play at the net, like you're not even pinching there. You just let him walk in behind you. Yeah, I thought it was a tough game for 44. I thought maybe he was their worst player, and I'm really reluctant to be critical of him when he's probably my favorite Leaf in the last 15 years.
Yeah, but I think we have seen enough of. If there's one thing that they need to get a right-hand shot D-man in here, it's to take away the temptation from Sheldon Keefe to play Brody and Riley together, because it worked when Brody was better. It worked in past years when Brody was playing better. But to me, it's a strict left side only for Brody if you're going to keep him on this team past the deadline. He is not playing on the right side. He is not able to handle the top matchups playing on that side of the ice. Thought he looked good with Liljegren. Thought that pairing was really working. But yeah, those two together were just awful. And it doesn't feel like it's a tenable situation playing those two together. So that to me is another reason you have to bring in a right-hand shot guy to take away the temptation of Keefe, who obviously has past years in the back of his mind. And I get why coaches do that, right? Like, it's old trusty. I understand it. I'm not going to kill him for it. He thinks that's his best option, but it's just an option that just can't work. And it hasn't worked all year. And again, tonight they get exposed. So less of that, a lot less of Riley and Brody together, please.
Dude,
and by less, I mean never again, please.
There were moments with the two of them together where I went, which one of you guys is playing which side?
I know. Well, that's the thing. When you're playing your offside, it's so hard. Playing your offside at the NHL level defense is so hard. And you had three guys doing it tonight. Brody, McKee, and they put Brody over there. Then they went him back on the other side. And then you have McKee, Benoit doing it, and Lagesson doing it. It's like, these guys aren't top end guys that can do that. That's a really hard thing to do. And they got exposed. They didn't look good, but anyways, what are you gonna say?
Well, I was just gonna say, Keefe, the frustration boiled over from this one.
Yeah.
Tossed.
I absolutely think it's so hilarious that ref tossed him. Like, people are getting bent out of shape about it. Listen, this guy's getting a rep. He is all over, red face. Every time anything goes wrong with his team in a game, he's Nick Nurse, bud. He is nonstop. He is berating.
He's got a little Nick Nurse.
Buddy, I watch a lot of hockey. He is, I don't know if he's number one, but he ain't far from it in terms of whining to the refs constantly. He is in their ear all the time. And these guys are all buds. These guys see him all the time. They're sick of it, right? Like, you get sick of that. Like, they're human. You're not supposed to be that. You're supposed to be a robot because you're a ref, but you have these reputations of guys. And when he is screaming at you all game, every time they go over to the bench, he's got a knee on the bench screaming at the ref. And I get it. They suck at their jobs. I get why it's frustrating, but all coaches don't do this. It's not all of them. He's going full Nick Nurse this year, but it's kind of hard to watch.
So I thought it was funny that during the broadcast, they pointed out that Nylander was telling him to chill out after
just chill out, man. Like, I think it was a bad call. I think it was a phantom trip, but like, to me, the ref looking at it, he got a little hook on his leg. Like, there was enough there to make a call. Bad call, but if I'm a ref looking right at it, there's a chance I make the same call. That is far from the reason the Leafs lost the game tonight. And I know classic, Leafs, like, you don't judge what people are saying on Twitter because it's the echo chamber. People blaming refs, talking about how it's the refs. Like, Leafs were dogs. They were awful the whole night. There's a couple sketchy calls. Like, I didn't, but if Keefe getting tossed, and then he's like, "Oh, who, me? I hate that. Oh, what do I say?" You've been screaming at him for 20 minutes.
I think it was more like, are you serious? Because the nature of the sport is
no one gets tossed.
Nobody gets tossed. Like, nobody. Well, seeing it happen, I went, like, he didn't. Also, if you're gonna get tossed, make a scene, throw a stick, like go all the way with it.
Agree.
Right?
Yeah, like, you don't just be like, "Who, me?" Get the water bottle out. Get the water bottle out.
I don't think it was a who me. I thought it was more of a, are you kidding? And like, what are you doing? Like, are you serious? Are you really gonna do this? Because they gave him the warning. They told him to shot it. Yeah. And he kept going. But to me, it's like, I will say this. You're right. I hate ref talk, and there's a reason why.
Poison. We never do it. It's poison.
It's the worst. I would say that. Listen, Leaf fans, I love you. And the chat, you can go crazy.
Oh, they're probably killing us right now.
But there's the reason why I just don't stay on Twitter and I don't read the stuff is because most of you just want to say two things: blame the goalie or the refs. That's why the Leafs lose all the games.
That's hockey.
Like, that's the ones. And it's just, I can't have it. Like, I can't do it every night. That said, I thought the Leafs got a bad whistle tonight. I don't think that Vegas, there was any missed calls where Toronto should have had more power plays, but like, they
didn't have any. Did they? Oh no, they did. They had one. They had one.
No, they had one. Right? Yeah, and it was right at the end of the first period, and it sucked. It wasn't a very strong power play. But yeah, they just, I thought it was a weird game in that they didn't really have the whistles out. Vegas did play a clean hockey game, so credit to them. But yeah, the one they made on Brody early on in the game, like again, it actually reminds me a little bit of the final one they made where it's just sort of two guys are on a puck and someone's falling and stumbling, and so the ref goes, "Well, I guess benefit of the doubt, this is a call," right? Like that one kind of looks like he does something, but then when you look at it closer, he doesn't really do it. It's just a bit of a soft call. I didn't love
the worst part is the referee staring right at it.
Yeah, he
says play on. Backside official from the neutral zones, like that's a trip.
Dude, I thought it was going to be somewhere else on the ice.
Yeah, same.
I thought
that drive coach is crazy. Sorry.
Go
ahead.
Somewhere else on the ice, there was going to be some kind of a cross check or interference play that we didn't see that I wasn't focused on because I was puck watching. And then when it turned out to be Brody, I went, buddy, the lead official's right there. Shut up. What are you doing? He's staring. He's in between those guys.
He's in the scrum.
He couldn't be any more in it. He's between them. If there's a penalty on anyone, it's probably him. Anyway, I didn't like the refs.
The thing is, all these games, they always end up the power plays really even. It's always 4-4 or 2-2 or 5-5. And when you see one that's like 4-1, it's a huge outlier. So that's probably what got people bent out of shape. But
I didn't see. I'm just assuming that Leafs Twitter was going nuts. And to me, the real story of the game is just the Leafs didn't have their legs. And you said it. No attention to detail. Let guys get in behind them multiple times. Dude, Amadio had a breakaway too in this game where he didn't score, right?
And guess who was chasing back to make the play?
Yeah.
44 again.
Yeah, it's not a good look for this team. You got to bounce back and beat the team that's your home ice kryptonite and the Coyotes and beat the brakes off of them and sort of level this out, because I got to tell you, the streak was awesome, but it would be a really tough look for this team if they have another game like that against Arizona and blow 2 at home.
Yeah, this is a thing. Like, I don't have it in front of me. I don't know if Jobo can do it quickly, but they kind of stink on home ice. I don't know what the numbers are, but just anecdotally in my mind, they win way more on the road than they do at home. And that's been the case for a while.
I think now they're 2 games over 500 at home.
Yeah, that's crazy how much they are over 500 on the road then.
Yeah. They were struggling for a while. Like 15, 11 and 2. So yeah, 3 games over 500.
Yeah, 18, 6 and 6 on the road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like how you're like, Joe, bring up the easiest stat to bring up.
Oh, is it? I don't know.
You better be able to bring it.
I'm horrible.
I just like how you said, Joe, I don't know. I was like, dude, you're a producer of a show. That's a terrible sign for him born that you just, hey, can you find records?
Well, no, I just felt like in front of me while I'm talking to you. It's hard to like look it up on the computer. And I could have emailed Stevie Fallon and been like, hey, buddy, give me all the stats, please.
The legend, the absolute legend, the Sportsnet legend, pulled up so many things for me. So many things for me. We got to talk a little bit about Tavares because he had, in my opinion, I think other than everything Morgan Riley, basically every Morgan Riley shift, the other toughest moment of the game, which was this turnover for the backbreaker. Yeah. And can we run the clip, Joe? You had a problem with Samsonov. Like you want him to make a save.
I do. I do. But here's the thing. It's a horrible play. And I sent a tweet. I even since deleted the tweet since I've watched the replay again. And I don't know if we're going to roll it here. But the fact he doesn't go to the forehand when it's just a wide open side of the ice. It's at the end of the period. There's nothing that's going to happen on the backhand that's good there. Just hard rim. You had support along the left side of the ice. Just hard rim it around there. It's a bad mistake from your captain who's been playing really well in a checking role. He looked like he's playing banged up. He looked like he's making bad decisions out there. He's fighting something. I wouldn't be surprised if we got a, few games off here for Tavares. He's fighting something, and I think he needs to maybe sit down for a couple games. I'm not sure what it is, but even tonight, because he missed one game. When was that? Like the one that he missed, he was sick, but then he missed one other one in that streak. It was in this streak when he was day to day. And it just feels to me that like something's up with him. Something's wrong. I'm not sure what it is, but yeah, it wasn't pretty tonight. And yeah, I hated the turnover, but it's a shot from above the circle that trickles through you. It's a bit of a backbreaker. Like, you want that save from your goalie. It wasn't totally his fault. Clearly a bad, but goalie was bail you out. They're allowed to make saves and he didn't make one. So I didn't like it.
Yeah, for this to be at the end of a period, you just got a goal and you got a bounce too, right? Like all of a sudden Bertuzzi getting bounces,
You had
right?
2 guys on the other side there.
Yeah. Like this is like, is it a goal? Sure, that he could have saved. Sure. But to me, this is just like, why are you putting the goaltender in this position? It's a quick snapper on the stick of like a guy who scored 40 goals in the league who just rips it into the perfect spot. Like, I don't know, man.
Samson's been making that save for a while now. That gets through him and hits him, and it like goes through his chest.
I think
it's a save I want.
When you slow that down, it looks worse. When you run that at real time, it's just an awful play from your captain, a guy who's supposed to have, it's just every time I watch it, it gets worse. Like, what were you thinking? And honestly, a little bit of a soft coverage from the other guys too, where they just look. Yeah, the body language for the entire team was off tonight. And the Tavares frustration after of, slamming the stick and then going to the bench and showing it even more. I don't, maybe he's hurt. Maybe.
Or maybe he's old. And maybe he's old and he's feeling it.
Maybe, exactly. Maybe he's just a guy who is starting to get pissed off because he doesn't feel like himself every night and he's just forcing it a bit.
I don't know what show it was I mentioned it on, but this guy's been one of the best players on every hockey team he's ever been on in his entire life. And it's starting to not be that case now. And it's probably not easy to come to grips with. And I don't know, there's certain plays where he just looks labored. He looks like he's making tired decisions. Maybe he's just old. I don't know, but it just doesn't look pretty. And he'd been good for a couple games there in this role. I guess against Colorado, he was all right. Against the other Vegas game, he was okay. They've been playing him in this role. I thought he was fine, but tonight was a glaring night for me. So, I mean, all your big boys are dashes. I'm looking at this here. Matthews is dash 3, Tavares dash 2, Domi dash 2, William Nylander dash 4. Like it's just your stars have been really good and they had a dog night. That's what a lot of it comes down to.
They had a real dog night. And I even think about times they didn't get punished. Like the first line took a penalty in the first against Vegas's fourth line. Like in the D zone. It's just they're getting hemmed in and they take a penalty and you go, boy, this isn't the team from before. Anyway, I don't want to hammer them too hard because again, the streak was great and I think that they deserve the benefit of the doubt on a bad night. It just it does suck, I will say, from the standpoint of you were hoping that they were going to feel like they were rolling and try to really keep it going. And it does show you how tight butts are here where something like that happens. I do think a lot of fans, I won't say everybody, but I think a lot of fans are like, don't let that happen again. And then the other part of this is the goalie, because I don't think Samsonov had some kind of a horrific night, but whenever six go in the back of the net, 5 on you, and you make how many saves do you have? Did he have 20 saves?
Yeah, I'm not sure what number he got to, but I thought that last goal, they hung that poor guy out to dry on.
I know, that was awful by the team.
I can't believe they let that 26 and 30. I can't believe they let that go. It's just that's completely. It's just rude. It's like just get the puck out, get it out. Like he's been fighting it. He's seen another number go up there. The other guy's coming back here now. This is an excuse to clearly start Joe Wall on Thursday if he's feeling good. Like you just, it's such a bad goal to give up at the end of a game. No effort. They just bang one home. Like, look at this fire poker city on everybody here. No one body just being in the back of your net. I hated that. I think Samsonov has given them, you got to say, what can you say? Since he came back from the gulag, he's really saved him. He's been really good. Like, I think his numbers are probably worse than he's actually been in a lot of these games where he's been passable. He's been good. He's been an average NHL goalie where it seemed like that was never going to happen again. But now they've given the door a little bit of a crack with Joe Wall getting healthy. And if he's ready to go, I'm sure he's going to start Thursday. He plays well Thursday. I'm sure everyone's going to want him to play Saturday. So we'll see how this goes. But, Sammy deserves some credit for this streak until leading into this point because he was good for a lot of the games.
Bro, I've made this point on my show and I did today. I don't really care about the 3 goalie thing because normally it sucks because you don't have enough net in practice that it affects the guys. But in this situation, it's like, sorry, Marty, but you're a coach, okay? Like you're on ice and you're getting nothing.
The tracksuit. Get the tracksuit.
Yeah, like you're getting nothing. It is what it is. You signed here for this and you gave some good games, but they're not going to waive you. They've got the cap space for it.
Mhm.
And yeah, they would rather put Robertson back down in the minors, which is totally fine because yeah, when Yarncroc comes back too, it just there's no. I'm sorry to say this, but there's just I don't know. I just there's too many nights of just nothing from Robertson for me to justify it. Where it's like he gets the odd shot off that looks nice and forces the goalie to make a save. You're like, great. And I know he scored a bunch of goals compared to some of the other guys, especially at the rate of dudes that have got paid more money. But those other guys do other things, and Robertson flat out doesn't. Okay, so he's out of the lineup. I think you bring Yarncroc back in, you stick with the 3 lines, but the goalies to me are going to be fine. But it should be noted that Samsonov's best runs of his career now have been when Matt Murray was vacated, and then when Woll wasn't pressing him, and Martin Jones was there, and they just gave him a run, and he got to play a bunch of games. And so this is a weird one for me because I actually think that if the Leafs had won or Samsonov had just played normal and not had 5 and the save percentage get all wonky, it would have been an automatic, like, don't worry, man, Woll's in net against this crappy team and we're resting you up for Saturday. Part of me actually wonders with the psychology of this, if you just go, actually, no, Samsonov's now going to play Thursday too. You're going to get him back one, and he's going to play Saturday.
Who? He's going to play both?
Yeah, both.
Okay. Yeah, I don't see that. Like, unless Joe Woll's not backing up next game, then I think he does, clearly. Like, I don't think they're going to throw him in for his first start against the Rangers. But to me, if he's healthy, you're starting him against the Coyotes on Thursday. So that to me, that's the way you do it. But I don't know. They're babying Wall. They don't want to rush him back. They saw what happened last time. So I think it's Wall Thursday and then maybe Sammy on Saturday. So that's how I think they'll do it.
All right. Anything else?
No, I'm good, bud.
Yeah, me too. All right. Subscribe to the podcast on iTunes and Spotify. Leave a thumbs up on the old YouTube page. Follow on Twitter and Instagram at JD Bunkis, at Sam McKee. Reach out anytime, and we will see you Thursday for said game against the Arizona Coyotes.